for the Democratic Party out there, I'm going to tell you guys why black men voted for Trump in droves. Because you seem not to know. You're talking about spending $20 million to talk to men to see why men ain't voting Democrat. I'm going to give you the game for free. You ain't even got to send me $20 million. Send me $20 so I can put some gas in this truck. Tell you what, the reason why we voted for Trump is because Democratic men, black men, have seen the government used against us for generations. We've seen you guys incarcerate us, chase us around, plant evidence on us. We've seen how Democrats work. So when we saw you doing that to Trump, we felt that. We like, you know what? They doing Trump the same way this whole Stormy Daniels thing. They chasing this man. They bringing up stuff from 20, 30 years ago. They chasing this man. They do the same thing to black men. So we started feeling Trump. We know how Democrats operate because we live in Democratic neighborhoods. We know when y'all want to use the government against us, keep us in court, keep us in jail, be mad at us, so you want to have control over us. So you start sending enforcement on us. That's why we all stood for Trump. We knew what he was about. He was about righting wrongs. That's it. There were wrongs being done in America. We're going to right them. People are taking advantage of America. We're going to put America first. What do Democrats do? Oh, well, we going to incarcerate him because we don't want to put America first. Black men are like, every time we try to put our family first, we end up in jail and we lose our family. We try to put our kids first, we end up in family court. We got to pay more child support. We see how Democrats operate. So you want to spend $20 million to find out why everybody's leaving the Democratic Party? Just watch this video. I done told you a long time ago when I dropped that. I said, the more y'all do to Trump, the blacker this man gets. I dropped that video before he was even elected, and everybody laughed at me. Bro, you lost. Trump ain't turning black. You lost, bro. He ain't turning black. I said, no, he ain't turning black. But black people starting to feel him. They know what he's going through because we done been through this for generations. We know how the Democratic Party operates. They want that plantation. They want somebody picking them crops. They want somebody on the bottom so they can stay elite. We know how the Democrats operate. Trump is trying to make everybody eat. He's trying to bring jobs back to America so we can make money. Democrats, the game is up. Y'all party is done. Until y'all realize what y'all have done in the past to us, y'all will never have a future with us. Black men gonna be Republicans forever at this point.
We have confused children and sick, enabling adults. Why would I want to belong to a party that takes pride in shedding innocent blood? Number one, as if that's not what God hates. Number two, as if there's not a black market for baby organs. And number three, as if abortion clinics didn't start in the hood. Because if you think Trump is bad, you should research exactly who Margaret Sanger was. But speaking of the black community, why would I want to belong to a party who's responsible for the foundation of the Triple K? But it's not just that. Supposedly in the 1900s, the party switched, right? But what never changed, what I noticed never changed, is Democrats' love for immigration and how they have always prioritized that over the black community. I mean, imagine every single Democrat leader helping you joke about what a black job is in 2024, exposing your ignorance on 1924 and how imperative the Immigration Act of that year was, how it was all reversed in 1965 with the Hart-Celler Act, how Congress refuses the advice of the Rockefeller Commission and the Hesburgh Commission, and how...
I know because I know the data, and I know that black Americans have been voting for the Democratic Party for the last few decades, since the 60s, and we are facing zero median wealth by 2053. I know that black American families were two-parent households. A traditional family in the 1930s was 87%. In the 1960s, we went down to 65% when LBJ delivered his speech at Howard University. We are now at 25 to 30% two-parent households.
I can't vote for a party that is for all kind of sexual perversions. I can't do it. I can't vote for a party that's going to accept transgenders going into women's restrooms. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't go with a party that wants to cut little girls' breasts off to make them boys. I can't go with a party that says you can be a boy today and a girl tomorrow. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't support a party that wants to remove God from its party platform. You in trouble when the nation forgets God. I can't follow a party that wants to sexualize our children in school, put drag queens in front of them, reading them little children's stories. I can't do it. I can't support a party that wants to take the rights of parents away. In California right now, parents are being arrested because they won't go along with the sexualization of their children. But there are many parents that are compromising. Y'all got to make a decision. It's either God or the devil.
For decades, we have heard this one political assumption which has sat untouched in the United States of America, and it says that black votes belong to Democratic Party. And now, what thing we are witnessing right now is that that kind of assumption is cracking, because we've seen for decades, blacks have been actually raised bait that if you vote for the Republicans, then you are betraying your ancestors. You're betraying those people who bled for this country, who gave you that civil rights. And now what you're seeing is that the media is addressing something which people don't like to frame it clearly, because you're seeing there is this kind of a measurable political shift in thinking among Black Americans, and also they are being so strategic because they are going where they feel that their interests are being talked more and are not being buried and also overlooked because of the immigrants who are now being given the first priority when it comes to matters concerning Americans. And now we've seen that shift, and the media is now also exposing the same, and people are not being actually trapped by the ancestral ties towards this assumption anymore.
My parents had 3 kids. My sister, brother, and I all went to West Point, all 3 of us. We all served our country in combat. And I sit before you today as a sitting United States congressman in a district in a suburb of Houston, Texas, that's a white majority district, that President Trump would have won by 25 points, and I won by almost 30 points. And that doesn't happen unless we've made some incredible progress in this great nation. Now, my colleagues on the left like to say that common sense voting laws, including requiring a government-issued ID, are racist, discriminatory, and burdensome. Do you know what my father had back in the 40s and 50s before it was even cool? A government-issued ID. And continuing in his footsteps, I too have multiple government-issued IDs, and while that might be shocking to many people in this country, people may ask, how's that happen? It's very simple. It's personal responsibility for all Americans in this country, regardless of what you look like. Sitting with me today is my global entry card, my military ID card, my Texas driver's license, my Texas license to carry, because that's how we roll in Texas, my congressional card, and of course, the good old-fashioned American passport. What sorcery is this? What am I, the Black Houdini? How was I able to pull off the impossible and attain not 1, not 2, not 3, but 6 government-issued IDs? Personal responsibility in this country. I fought for this country as an Apache helicopter pilot to protect free and fair elections, and having a government-issued ID isn't racist, it's American. You need to have an ID to drive a car, to check into the airport, open a bank account. You need an ID for basically everything to be a responsible adult in this country, except for voting, apparently, according to the left. Black America does not need well-meaning liberals putting their arms around us and telling us how we should go to the polls. In fact, if you look at recent headlines and polls, you will find that black men specifically in this country are more fired up than ever to participate in the next presidential election. And I think I know why, and I'm really looking forward to these results. For the record, in 2022 midterms in Georgia, it proved that election integrity and ballot accessibility can be achieved hand in hand. After the 2020 election, Georgia passed a voter election integrity law, and subsequently, the Department of Justice filed a lawsuit against the state of Georgia, alleging that the Georgia law is discriminatory and aims to restrict citizens from voting. President Biden even called this law, and I quote, Jim Crow 2.0. Really? In my humble opinion, referencing Jim Crow for common sense election integrity laws is offensive to those who actually experienced Jim Crow, like my parents and their parents before them. In fact, the law wasn't discriminatory at all, because in the 2022 midterms, Georgia voters shattered voter turnout records across the state. And despite that record breaking turnout in Georgia, the DOJ lawsuit is still pending. I suspect that it's because that record-breaking turnout resulted in a Republican governor being elected in Georgia. I'm going to say the quiet part out loud, which I tend to do. I have a lot of respect for John Lewis, but the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act is not about protecting voting rights. It's about solidifying Democrat power nationally. It's about federal control over state and local elections, which, by the way, is unconstitutional. It's about diminishing the security of our elections. And voter integrity laws aren't discriminatory. They are required for a functioning constitutional republic. We don't need a new solution to a problem that doesn't exist. Making it to the polls to vote in person with an ID in this country today is a very low bar, extremely low bar. We can do it, white people can do it, black people can do it, Americans can do it. And we should all want that for free and fair elections. If you want to be on the right side of history, you should reject the Democrats' party's attempt to wind the clock back 70 years. Because I'm sitting right here in front of you, and I'm here to tell you we've come a long way.
By intention. I think many on the left would rather those in the black community see themselves as victims and never as victors. But when you look at black history, there's no way to actually celebrate it without looking at the contributions of black businessmen, black billionaires, black inventors. All of those things are a part of not just our history, but American history. But to go even further, when you talk about the inclusion of black conservatives in black history, you look at the teachings of folks like, Booker T. Washington and Martin Luther King Jr., who implored the black community to work hard, to play by the rules, and to believe that the content of our character matter a lot more than the color of our skin. Those are conservative values. The left tells black Americans that the most important thing to us is the color of our skin. The right says the most important thing about you is the fact that you're an American and you want to work hard and achieve the American dream.
Well, when you want to control somebody, you tell them that's the most important thing about you to you.
You're right. Exactly.
But actually, it's the most important thing about you to them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think, one of the biggest misconceptions about black conservatives is the fact that we are ashamed to be black. I'm not ashamed to be black in any way whatsoever. What I would be ashamed to be is a Democrat, to continue to vote for a party that uses and abuses my community, sells us one dream and delivers on it never. Black lives don't ever matter to Democrats. Only black votes do. They think that they're entitled to our vote, that they don't have to earn it. And so I'm proud to be black. I'm more proud to be an American. And honestly, I'm proud to never have ever voted for a Democrat any day in my 23 years of living.
I was going to say you've only voted a couple times.
Now we are seeing there is a growing number of black voters who are actually reassessing whether their interests are actually aligned. And they are also having these conversations that it is not centered on symbolism anymore. They are just trying to center their basis on economics, because these people vote so that they can have stability when it comes to incomes, jobs, and also have some stable income. And also this whole thing translates to the standards of living. And now this whole thing will relate to jobs, ownership, and also the capital control. And the argument is so simple because economic leverage changes everything. So when you own a business, when you create jobs, and also when you come to build your assets, you stop negotiating from the position of dependency. You now negotiate from a point of strength because you want the economic growth. And you know that economic growth equals to strength and power. And now that kind of message is the one which is resonating, because for many years we've seen that black American voters have also been supporting this Democratic Party based on civil rights legacy and the social policy alignment. But that legacy does not pay mortgages. And they're seeing that that kind of symbolic gestures don't fund their startups. They don't get the finances which they need to build their businesses. And that representation without results has now left some sort of hole which now they are trying to fill. And the uncomfortable truth which comes with all this kind of narratives that when this kind of voting bloc is actually predictable, then its leverage weakens, because these people have been knowing that black voters will vote bloc for the Democratic Party. But now it is now transactional. People feel it is like they're having this kind of fewer regulations, and also the small business incentives, and that will be thing is weakening because the political parties have now stopped responding to that kind of swing voters. They are now not guaranteeing this kind of results to these people. And now people want to vote where they feel that they are like being given a chance to have their own personal growth and not to depend on the government entirely.